Chevrolet just released some engine sounds of the new C8Z06 Corvette, and this time on Low Boost, we're going to break those sounds down and try to figure out what power plant we're really going to see in the new Z06 Corvette. I don't know about you guys, but I was extremely excited that Chevrolet released the sound of the new C8Z06 Corvette and how it sounds revving itself out on a track. I'm going to play it for you guys now first, and then we're going to break down the sound that it makes and what I really think is going to be in this power plant for the new C8Z06. Here it is. Now, right off the bat, you and I both can just agree on it does not sound like your typical pushrod V8. But it's actually not the pushrods that has changed the sound. Most conventional Corvette engines that we've seen, up to and including the C8 LT2, has been a pushrod V8. However, it has also been a traditional cross-plane crank, which in a lot of applications allows for a smoother engine with less noise, vibration, and harshness, but you do sacrifice some top-end power because you can't just rev it out like you can on some other motors. This does not sound like that at all. This sounds like a flat plane crank V8 where the balancers are on opposite sides of each other. It really allows an engine to be able to rev a lot higher. It also gives it that difference in pitch, which you're hearing there as well. The closest thing that we have seen in action to what we think this engine is going to be actually came in the Corvette C8R that ran the 24 Hours of Daytona. I'm gonna play a clip for you guys right now of that car, and you could tell me the differences. Misconception here is that a lot of people think the new C8Z06 is going to be a detuned version of the V8 engine that is in the C8R, but actually I think it's going to be the other way around. The C8R is actually detuned in order to meet the requirements that they have for IMSA and GTLM series to race in like the 24 Hours of Daytona. So the engine is actually way underpowered from its actual potential, only making 500 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque with a 7,400 RPM redline. That thing really could make 600 horsepower and 520 pound-feet of torque if they actually revved it out to 9,000 RPM, which it's capable of because of the makeup of the engine. This episode is brought to you by Corvette legend himself, Johnny O'Connell. Ever heard of him? He drove the C5R in the 24 Hours of Le Mans and won. I have Johnny O'Connell sway bars on my C5 Corvette, and it is absolutely awesome. They have completely changed how my car handles on the track. I'll put a link to them in the description below. You can get these sway bars on Amazon. Go check them out. Listen guys, I'm a big pushrod fan. Corvettes have always been pushrod V8s for the most part. Don't forget the early Corvettes, Generation 1, were 6 cylinders. But for all intents and purposes, most Corvettes have been pushrod V8s. However, technology is evolving, and I know a lot of other car manufacturers have had dual overhead cam V8s, and when you're looking at building an engine like this, being able to rev it out higher, especially in a naturally aspirated application, the higher you can rev it out, the more horsepower you're gonna make. And pushrod V8s just don't have the ability to reliably rev out as high as a dual overhead cam V8. Plus, when you mix in the fact that this is also a flat plane crank V8, that also increases the durability to be able to rev a car out that high. Also, the LT2 is a 6.2 liter V8. It has longer stroke than the 5.5 liter that we're going to see in this. A shorter stroke engine actually gives you more strength in the rods, allowing you to also be able to rev it out even more. So I think the C8Z06 is going to be a 5.5 liter dual overhead cam flat plane crank V8 that is going to wind out probably north of 9,000 RPM and make 600 horsepower naturally aspirated. Now, I actually was kind of thinking that Chevrolet might actually put twin turbos on the C8Z06 because it makes a lot of sense to do so, either with the 5.5 dual overhead cam motor or just twin turbocharging the LT2, but they can make 600 horsepower naturally aspirated in this and make good power as well. I actually think the next closest naturally aspirated V8 to be able to make this kind of power was the Ferrari 458 Italia. And let me tell you from personal experience, although that engine is one of my favorite sounding engines in the world, down low, it was gutless. They made 398 pound-feet of torque, and actually to the wheels, that translated to like 319 pound-feet of torque to the wheels, 562 horsepower at the crank from the factory. To really make that car pull, you had to really wind it out. Now, the reason why this C8Z06 is going to be better than the 458 Italia is the 458, the 4.5 in Italia stands for 4.5 liters. That's a 4.5 liter flat plane crank dual overhead cam V8. The C8Z06 is going to be an entire liter greater in displacement. So you're going to be able to make a lot more torque down low because of that. And Chevrolet isn't stupid. They know they want to have it be different than the Ferrari engine because a lot of the components are similar when you're talking about cranks and camshafts and all that stuff. They want to be able to make this outperform what that did with the new technology they have now. I really think that Chevrolet is going to have this be 600 horsepower and like 520 pound-feet of torque at the crank from the factory with the C8Z06. I do know that some people are actually not going to like this engine because they think that Chevrolet is trying to sound like a Ferrari, but hear me out here. The Ferrari sounds amazing, and this engine sounds absolutely amazing. And the difference though is, a lot of Ferrari purists don't like when you do this to a Ferrari. But guess what? Straight pipe and stuff is just, that's what America does, okay? This car, when we get our hands on it and straight pipe the snot out of it, it's gonna sound amazing. And there's not going to be any Ferrari enthusiasts that are going to tell you you shouldn't be doing that. This is America. Let me know what you guys think. If you think I hit the nail right on the head with this sound analysis and breaking down what I think it's going to be, let me know in the comments what you guys think this engine actually is going to be. I would love to hear everybody else's opinion. Of course, this is just my personal take on it based on me hearing a couple different engines and knowing a little bit about them. And so I really love to hear everybody else's take. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. I upload a video every week about cars, so if you're into this kind of stuff, consider subscribing. Also, hit the like button. I know everybody says it, but it really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. It helps show YouTube that other people should be watching this video as well. So, thank you guys again very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.